Hello, hello. We're good? Awesome. Wait, are you talking to me? That's embarrassing.
How do you order food?
Either way, people can eat while we talk, or sure, I'll ask them however they want to do it. How? Oh, that was super weak. Do we need like sugar? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's better. Saved you a spot right here. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Well, one, I want to applaud you guys for being here because, this is Utah. It is July. We've got 2 holidays, and I think generally speaking, people end the 4th of July thinking, you know what, there's another holiday right around the corner. I may as well just take the week off, right? No? I see it a lot. So quick honesty check is how many of you actually came for the statistics versus how many of you really just came for the food? Justin's already holding up the plate. Food. I'll be honest, I came for the food. I'm just going to rattle on for the next hour, then we'll start the food. No, so really a couple things. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. A couple things real quickly. Food-wise, do you guys want to eat during the presentation or do you want to access the food after? So the rest of you were polite and thought I'd wait until I was invited for the food, and Justin just dug in.
I have a head injury, so I can't.
So I'll leave it up to you guys. If you want to get up and get food during, great. If you want to wait till after, that's fine too. I got a lot of material to cover today, so we're going to jump in pretty quick. A couple quick announcements. I know Blaine has an announcement regarding the Layton office. Blaine?
Yes. Yeah. So Layton, 2 quick things. Layton. Enough, you go back to your office. August 5th, we're doing our Red Bash. We're doing a huge client event. If you don't hear from somebody on the ALC by Thursday, call me because they're in big trouble because we're really banding together. We're going to have a huge event. If you do it right, you should have double-digit referrals out of this event. If you make your phone calls right, if you market it right, if you generate it right. So somebody will be in touch with you. We're pretty much doing everything for you. All you have to do is get your people there. And a couple other small tasks. Anyhow, that's August 5th from 3 to 6. So start promoting that, start marketing that. One great way to start marketing that is this afternoon from 4 to 6. We're having our monthly Taco Tuesday. We'll have food here, we'll have drinks here, we'll have some games, we'll be giving away cash prizes, but it's an excellent opportunity to start calling your spirit.
Awesome.
That's all I got. So be here at 4 and tell me Thursday if you don't hear from somebody on the ALC.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So 4 o'clock today?
4 o'clock today, right here.
Awesome. More food.
More food.
More food, more value.
As a realtor, you'll never starve, but you may go broke.
Notice the fat guy said food, and someone else said margaritas. Awesome. Is Sean or Stephanie here? Anybody have the details on the boat and barbecue on Friday? So it's Friday? What did I say?
I don't know, I've seen it on Facebook.
Oh, it's Friday. So boat and barbecue for both offices, Layton and South Ogden, is this Friday. As they walk in, I'll have them give you the details. I think it starts at 11, lunch at noon. We'll have boats up there and a beach. And then real quickly, thank you for being our sponsor today. Would you want to give us a quick?
Yes. And I will do this.
Her balancing act with the food coming in was pretty impressive.
I brought a wagon. This is a really good server.
She thinks I'm kind for offering to bring it in, but I really stood inside the window and watched for a minute because it was pretty impressive.
That was mad skills. Mad skills. My many years of working in the food industry, unfortunately. Okay, real quickly, I'm Stacey Brunel. For those of you who don't know, I will try to keep it brief, but some of you know I love to talk. So, okay. I did bring some little goodies, so bear with me about some treats. So, only ding-dongs would list without a home warranty. So real quickly about our listing, we do offer free listing coverage to your sellers. We have a $1,500 maximum payout on those. So check with your competitors, because I recently found out one of our competitors only covers up to 500. We cover 3 times that. Your sellers are going to absolutely love you if they don't have to come out with $1,500 before they close. So who likes ding dongs? Who doesn't want to be a ding dong? Okay.
Whoops.
Let me help you crush your business. How am I going to help you crush your business? Service, absolutely, first and foremost. We're locally owned and operated. We give where we live. We care about you guys and your business. When you partner with us, we take care of you. One of your teammates, who is not here unfortunately, has a home warranty with us, and a couple weeks ago their AC went out. So I ran to Home Depot, picked up a portable unit, took them out to them. This is not a service reserved just for realtors. Last week, I had some clients, their AC went out, I picked up another portable unit, I took it out to them. Ask your other competitors if they do that for you guys. Who's going to be the hero when your home warranty rep is running out to your clients when they're in 100+ degree weather? Who likes orange licorice? Oh, sorry. Whatever. And always choose Elevate. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I gave you like 2 really good reasons already. Who likes Tootsie Rolls? Well, that's easy. All right, and then finally, the grand finale. Waffle Love. Who likes Waffle Love? I know, right? Who doesn't? Okay, I'm going to read something to you real quickly. If the first person who can tell me what I'm reading and or where I got it, I want you to shout it out. We believe that the company we keep can contribute to our lives in untold ways. To help cement this understanding, we formalized a belief system no one knows yet.
Waffle Love's mission statement.
What? Wrong. You're fired. That guides us how we treat each other and how we do business. Win-win or no deal. All right, well, Justin said it sooner. This is you guys' mission statement. Very similar to Elevate Home Warranty's culture. So you guys are already living it. Why not partner with a home warranty company that's also living it? So that's all I got. Justin, you got Waffle Love. Thanks, and you guys are really good.
Awesome. Thank you again. We really appreciate all of our vendors that are so supportive of our offices and what we do.
Who needs a pen? I do.
And does anyone not have a packet? Awesome. Okay, so we have a lot of material to cover today. Who loves statistics? Really? One out of 45. Oh, 2. I like them too. This time it actually was a little more fun for me to do the research about our market because I was in Mexico last week. And doing Google searches in Mexico and in Spanish for the Utah market made it kind of interesting. So I'm going to do half the presentation in Spanish. No. But it was kind of fun to do all the searches there and be studying the market. One, I applaud you guys for choosing to be here, particularly because statistics aren't always the funnest thing to talk about. However, I don't want you to forget that part of our biggest value for our clients is us being the experts in the market. Now, I know that a lot of our clients think they're the experts in the market because they're out talking to their nail salon, their hairdresser, their brother who watched the news, who heard something. They hear it once and they think it's gospel and they think it's what's going on in our market. But they're not doing the research. They're not spending the time to really understand what's going on in our market. And what I see a lot of times happening are agents just quickly agreeing with what their clients say about the direction of our market. And the clients are directing their decisions based on what they perceive to be a reality in the market other than what is the reality in the market. So today we're going to go through the statistics, and my goal today is to confirm what's going on in the market with statistically, show you the numbers so it's not just my opinion. But what I'd really love is for all of us to be able to walk out of this meeting being able to have deeper conversations with our clients about what's really going on in the market. Now, don't take this presentation and sit down with your clients and show them all 41 slides and be like, let's spend a couple hours together and talk about statistics. They're going to hate you for it. However, as you're going through the needs analysis with your clients and seeing where they're at and what they're thinking is going on in the market, these slides and statistics are going to start coming refreshing in your mind, and it's going to spark that opportunity to share with them what's really going on in the market. Okay? So two words have been coming to my mind as I've been, one, talking to a lot of you and a lot of agents about what they're seeing going on in the market, the comments coming back from their clients. And the two words that keep coming up are sustainability My handwriting's horrible, but it makes me feel better to write. Sustainability and affordability. Are you guys hearing anything right now from your clients that fall in this world? What are we hearing sustainability-wise?
Buyers are waiting for the market to slow down.
Okay, so this can't last, right? We're going to wait because my brother bought a house in 2012 for way less than what you're telling me this house is worth. So I'm going to wait, right? So that falls under sustainability and affordability. What about on the list side? What are we hearing from our sellers that has to do with this? How many of you have people that want to sell their home, but they're nervous about going out and being able to find something else to move into? Mm-hmm. They want to sell. People want to sell, but they don't know where they can go because they don't understand the conversation around affordability. Okay, we got to remember, we're going to talk deeper about this as we get through the statistics. I'm going to give you the supporting data, then I'm going to give you the scripts around it of how to have the conversation around affordability. Because for me, the agents that are going to pick up market share and take market share over the next 6-12 months are the agents that really understand how to have the conversation around affordability, both with their sellers and their buyers. Okay? If you had to describe to me in one sentence or give me an economic lesson in one sentence, what would you say? Supply and demand, right? Anytime, anywhere you are, someone brings up economics, all you have to say is, oh, it's all relative to supply and demand. Mic drop and walk away. You never can be wrong if you say that, right? So economics has to do with supply and demand. So let's just real quickly before we jump into the numbers here, let's make sure we all agree on something. Supply, what's going on with supply in our market right now? Supply is down, right? Where's demand? Demand's up, right? When supply is down and demand is up, what happens to price? Okay, price goes up. So as prices start to go up and keep pushing up and up and up, at some point, what's going to happen to demand? Demand's going to soften, right? So this has to do with consumer confidence. What is consumer confidence? Affordability, okay? So consumer confidence is driven by a couple things. A consumer to have confidence to purchase something, they have to have confidence in a couple things. One, they have to have confidence or feel that they're getting a fair price on something, right? If they don't feel like they're getting a fair price, their confidence is going to decrease. Okay? So they have to feel like they're getting a fair price, and they have to have the disposable income to spend on it, right? So we're going to give the supporting data around that of why consumer confidence is what it is and where the risks are with consumer confidence over the next coming months. Okay? Any questions so far? Good. I'm doing a great job then. Number one, I want to cover a couple of the biggest things I watch in all the markets that I invest in. Population is number one that I look at. What's happening with population? If population is increasing in a market, what's more than likely going to happen to our demand? It's going to go up, right? More people, more demand. Now, Utah is the fastest growing state in the country right now. Does that surprise anybody? What's the ongoing joke across the country of why Utah is the fastest growing state in the country? Because we have so many kids, right? And there's some truth to that. However, there's a couple interesting things going on that are debunking that joke. So real quickly, Utah as a population, we're leading the country. In 2016, we went up by 1.72%. We've got over 3 million people in our state now. It's projected to continue to do that in 2017 and 2018. What's one of the primary causes of our push in population? Not from having kids, from net migration. Industry. I applaud our state. Our state is doing a great job of offering incentives to businesses to come operate out of Utah. They're doing a great job for that. We've got a very, very strong economy. Real quickly for Weber and Davis County. So of that 3 million people, total population in Weber County is 231,000. Davis County is 306,000. Okay? Here's a couple interesting thoughts that popped into my mind as I thought about population. This last year, over 40% of our increase came from net migration. That means it doesn't include all of our births minus deaths, it's people coming into Utah who historically did not live in Utah. That's a huge chunk of that number. Again, I applaud our state for that. The other thing that popped into my mind that I think is really interesting is we've got now, oh, my laser's not working, over 3 million people, almost 3.1 million people. And according to the state, this is how many agents are licensed in our state actively right now, 23,824 agents. That's crazy. I don't know this to be a fact, but I'd be willing to bet that that's the most number of agents our state has ever seen at a given time. So what does that mean for us? We've got more agents than we've ever had before. What's that? There's going to be increased competition, right? So let me again really hit home what I talked about earlier. The agents that take the time to learn and become an expert and really understand the market, they're the ones that are going to be picking up market share. They're the ones that are going to be outperforming the market, because if you look at this, if you take 3.1 million divided by 23,824, that's one real estate agent for every 130 people in our state. Okay? How is it then we have agents that are doing 300-400 transactions a year inside of our state? It's because they decide to be the expert and plug into the systems and models, okay? So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today as well. Number 2, employment. Utah leads again. In the United States, again, incredible. Our unemployment rate is 4.7%. Here in Utah, it's 3.1%, which is incredible. That's a very low unemployment rate. States with the strongest job growth, Utah leads again with 3.6%. It's really great. Okay, third thing I look at there is housing affordability. Who can tell me what housing affordability is? What drives affordability?
Pricing, interest rates, job income.
Okay, those are the three, right? We look at median income, median price of home, and interest rates. Now we're going to talk more about affordability later on in the presentation and talk about scripting around it. But just real quickly, so you understand affordability as we work through the rest of the statistics here, an affordability of exactly 100 would suggest that exactly 30% of the median income is exactly what it would cost to pay a mortgage payment at the current interest rates for the median priced home in our market. That would be an affordability of exactly 100. So the way the government looks at that, they say, okay, if they make X amount of money, 30% of that should be allocated to homes. Now, based on the interest rate, if 30% of that equals exactly the mortgage payment, that would be an affordability of an exactly 100. Anything over that would suggest there'd be excess disposable income after paying for housing. Okay, so you can see historically what our affordability has done. Here in 2007, it wasn't very affordable, right? No one was going to argue about that now, right? Then we became very affordable as our market went into correction mode, and now we're slowly, as we're stabilizing, we're coming back down. The cool thing is we're still in an affordability of about 120. Our market still shows it's affordable. Okay, now we're gonna teach the script around that a little bit later, but it's really hard. What happens is people are looking at this and coming to the conclusion that we're not affordable when in fact we're still an affordable market. It may not be as fun to buy a house at today's prices as it was in 2012, but it's still affordable, okay? Okay, let's jump through some of these statistics. Okay, so just notice on every slide down in the right-hand corner, it says either Davis County or Weber County. We're going to cover both markets. You're going to see some similarities and some slight differences between the two counties. Okay, but it's important for us to understand statistics in both because the majority of us, that's where we do the majority of our business. Okay, interesting here, if we're living in the world right here in July in 2017, why do we care about any of this? Trend? So why is trending important? So we can start predicting, right? Like my parents wore bell bottoms in high school, which was the trend. So I'm buying bell bottoms like crazy because they're bound to come back. Right. So there's trending. We look historically at what happened, but we got to look at more at what the graph. We've got to be asking ourselves constantly why. Why is it what it is? Okay, a couple interesting things here that we've never seen in our market before. In 2016, I remember teaching the quarterly market update right here in March of 2016, and we were all looking at this wondering what the heck was going on, because it was the first time we'd seen our pending listings in excess of our active listings. And everyone was wondering, what are we going to do? How's this going to work? What's going to happen? Right? Does anyone remember those conversations? Okay. We reacted, and we saw last year, it took us a minute to figure out what was going on. And a lot of agents, when something's different or hard, what do a lot of agents react with? They step back. They wait. They wait to figure out what's going to happen, right? But we saw some agents, particularly the conversations we were having in our office, was now is the most critical time to take action because we can influence the market, okay? So you saw last year, it took a minute for us to figure out how to get our listings back in excess of our pending listings. In fact, it didn't happen almost until September of last year. It was August of last year. This year, the same thing happened. Pending listings was in excess of our active listings, but we learned from last year already, and we're already taking more activity, and we crossed the line. That sounds like it's a bad thing, crossing the line, like when I tell my kids, you crossed the line. So I'm going to say it differently. Our active listings were in excess of our pending listings much faster this year than it was last year. That's the positive of this. What's the negative story of this? Okay, so it has to do with this. If you look at where we crossed last year compared to where we crossed this year, our active listings in July of 2016 were 10% more than our active listings of 2017. We figured out how we get more listings faster to cross the line from pending earlier, but we're 10% less listings than we were a year ago, okay? Now, I asked you a question earlier, and you all said yes. Do people out there still want to sell their homes? Mm-hmm. They do, right? So why do we have 10% less listings this year than we did the same time last year?
People's confidence.
So there's some confidence, but they're not being educated, right? So we have more people now that still want to sell their home. Our economy's stronger this year than it was last year. They want to get the most money they possibly can for their house, but there's nobody out there having the conversations with them to give them the confidence to pull the trigger to list their home today, okay? So this drop in the number of listings and pending listings could happen for one of two things. They're not being educated on why it's still a good thing to do, or demand decreased, causing there to be less activity. That's not what's happening. We got to be very clear that that's not why we're having a decrease in pending sales and listings. It's not because there's a decrease in demand. Would anyone disagree with that? Okay. Weber County, real quick, real similar. The graph looks a little bit different, but the same thing. We hit pending and active listings and corrected it quickly. But again, the interesting thing here is in Weber County, our listings are 9.1% less. And I'm talking as the MLS. I'm not talking KW specific. Across the MLS, we're 9.1% less than the number of listings we were a year ago. Okay? What I learned from this slide is we need to have more and better conversations with people about selling their home. Okay? The number of conversations it took last year to get this number of listings, we need to increase the number of those conversations and increase our quality of conversation. Why do I say we need to increase the quality of our conversation?
Because you're educating them.
Because there's 23,000 of you out there, okay? Those of you that have the best conversations, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the people that tell their story the best win. I don't care if you've been in business for 20 years or 2 months. If you tell your story better than everybody else and resonate with someone and you feel a need, that's who's going to win, okay? Okay, let's jump into units. The next several slides we're going to talk about units, then we're going to talk about volume. Why do we look at units and volume? Let me ask it this way. What's more critical for our business planning, units or volume? Why?
Well, because prices are going up anyway.
Okay, so you're on the right track. Do we control the number of units that we sell a year? Yes. because we control the activities for those conversations. Do we control overall the volume that we sell a year? We can target a different price point, but I can't wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what, I'd really love for my house to be worth $1.5 million. So I'm going to do a couple things in the yard and make it happen, right? We don't control the economy, so we absolutely control the units. If we build a real estate machine that's producing over 100 units a year and the market tanks next year, and I'm not making a prediction there, if it did, our system would still be a system that could run 100 units, okay? So let's run through units first. So just real quickly, across the MLS, or in Davis County in the MLS, from 2015 to 2016, we saw a 6% increase in the number of units that were sold. Let's get more into 2017. This graph, you see the difference between the blue and the red. The blue graph shows the total units within the last 6 months. The red shows the volume in the last 12 months. Basically, why it does that is it's showing us some seasonality in what's happening in the market, okay? Our market, so this graph for me, a lot of you know that I do a lot in Arizona with my teams and my companies there. This graph looks significantly different in Arizona because there's less seasonality in the market in Arizona due to the weather than there is here, okay? So this is interesting for seasonality. Here's a couple interesting things about this slide that I think we need to know about. I drew a flat line from July of 2017 to July of 2016 to see basically where are we on track with our previous 12-month units and our previous 6-month units. I did the same thing here for 6 months, showing that in July, year to date, we're right here. Last year, we were right there. So here's what we can learn from that. For the past 12 months, there's barely, if you look at the previous 12 months from now to last year, and then from 2016 to 2015, unit-wise, we're almost the same. The number of units that have been sold in Davis County. However, if you just compared the first 6 months of 2017 to the first 6 months of 2016, we're 10% off of pace on units, which makes sense because we're 10% off of listings, okay? So this is interesting to me because I really want to be watching what this graph is going to look like, the 12-month graph in 6 months from now. If we don't get out and have more of those conversations as agents, likely we're going to see that drop. But I absolutely believe we have control in changing that because I know the supply and demand in the market is there if we have more of the right conversations, okay? Weber County. From 2015 to 2016, we saw a 10% increase in units. Similar story here. We're not going to repeat it, but a similar story here. The first 6 months of 2016 units-wise was stronger than the first 16 months of 2017 units-wise, okay? Real quickly with units. In the whole Wasatch Front MLS, we track by brand. As a lot of you know, business is all about numbers. We're constantly tracking. Really exciting to see that Keller Williams is #1 in units across all the MLS, which is pretty awesome. Go ahead, cheer, it's all right. That's awesome, really proud of that. In fact, I even put a huge #1 there because I'm so proud of it. Interesting, the MLS as a total is down 0.8% year to date in closed units, while KW is up 8.7, meaning as a brand, we're outperforming the market by 9.5% in closed units. That's awesome. I'm pretty proud of that. I spent like 6 hours just on that one graphic. Okay, let's switch to volume. So volume, it's interesting. Look, we're back to Davis County now. 2015 to 2016, we saw a 16% increase in volume. That's more than the percent increase we saw in units. Does that surprise anybody? Doesn't surprise us, right? We know our prices are going up, which makes sense that for every unit we sell, we're selling more volume this year than the previous year, okay? No surprise there. Let's go through the same exercise we did with units. So looking at the past 12 months versus the past 6 months, and again, comparing 2017 to 2016, we see a significantly different story than we did with units. So we can see that for the past 12 months, we're up 7.5%, where we virtually had no change in units, but our volume's up 7.5%. In the past 6 months, we've seen virtually no change in volume, while we've seen a pretty significant change in units, okay? So our volume's increasing. Now, one of our risks as agents with volume going up but units not going up is complacency. Why do I say that? Because we're making money, and when we're making money, it means we want to go spend that money, right? And when we're out spending that money, what are we not doing? We're not working, okay? So one of the risks I really want you to be aware of as we talk today is this. I want to celebrate your success to the end of the earth. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. I'll clap with you. I'll go out. We'll celebrate, whatever that looks like. I want to do that, but let's make sure we're celebrating the right thing. We're all making more money this year, which is awesome. But if we look at the market, Aunt Ethel, who sells 3 houses a year, is also making more money this year than she made last year, and she should celebrate that. But she's not being purposeful about making more money, okay? So that's the critical conversations we need to be having from a business perspective as we go through this, is how am I purposefully taking market share that I'm not only increasing with the market, but I'm increasing with the market and I'm taking more territory, okay? Which we're going to talk more about that as well. Volume for Weber County, similar story. Up 8.9% in volume for the past, comparing the 12-month period, and up, or again, virtually no change, again, despite 9.1% less sales, okay? Same story. Looking at the same graph, all brands in our MLS for volume. Again, we're number 1, pretty awesome. Now, the cool thing is we were already number 1 in volume in 2016. A lot of you remembered we celebrated pretty hard. That was awesome. And we should have celebrated. But what's cool is we're already outperforming our own statistics, our own record-breaking statistics in 2016 by 23%. That's huge. Still proud of it. It's kind of cool. You want to see it again? I'm a dork, and it's okay. Okay, so let's keep moving. Any questions so far? Is the information good so far? Yep. I'm so glad you said that, because if you said no, I had no idea what we were going to talk about for the rest of the time. Sales price versus list price. How come this is important?
Because I feel like if it's less, then it's more of a buyer's market, because buyers feel like they can negotiate more.
Awesome. So it changes this conversation, right? It changes our supply and demand conversation. If that number starts to drop like we saw here in 2011, where was consumer confidence at that time?
Less.
Way less, right? Everyone was like, there were some people out there saying, I never want to own a home again. That's like less than 0 consumer confidence. That's like hating confidence. I don't know if that's a term, but it is now. So we're at 98.2% in Davis County. So the key here is it's critical, pricing is critical right now. In our listing presentations, as we tell that story, it's really easy for our people to have a number in their mind that they got some crazy way, like my neighbor's house sold for 200, so I should get 300, right? Because that was 2 months ago and our market's getting better, right? Are we hearing some pretty unrealistic numbers out there?
Oh, yeah.
So we absolutely need to get great at telling our story. We should share this slide to say, hey, you're right, we want to get you the most money we possibly can, and I want to show you statistically things are selling for 98.2% of what the list price is. And you should also have your own statistics. That's across the market. My personal business, we're selling at 108% of market, okay? Dane?
Another use for this slide is I had a client from India one time, and the whole kind of buying and selling process is very different there. It's all by face-to-face, and the seller throws out a number, and he expects a counter of about 50% of what so just culture was extremely different. So he wanted to bring that cultural paradigm to Utah to buy a place with, and it was hurting him and making me crazy. So if I had had this slide and a little bit more experience, I could have saved us both a lot of headache. Eventually, I kind of zeroed in on what the problem was in this slide, and that conversation was said, look, I understand this is how things work in India. As you can see here, the lowest things usually sell for, even in the depths of the depression, list price to sell price was still over 90%.
Great
So if you're
point.
offering 80, 75% of list price, you're hurting yourself. And
Great.
eventually we had that conversation, we got them closed, but I could have saved us both a lot of time with this guy.
That great point. Thanks for bringing that up. I mean, if in this market in 2011 and 2012, I was with my business, I was writing over 100 offers a week, and it was expected that there was going to be some jockeying back and forth on pricing. I mean, it was just the expectation that everyone was going to go way back and forth a bunch of times, and that in this market, that is not the case, right? So great point on that and educating your clients.
This doesn't take into account concessions, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And also a great point. Okay, Davis County. So we're still on Davis County. We're going to focus on Davis County for a couple slides, then we're going to shift to Weber. Now, this slide, the blue graph is total listed, and the red is total sold. Okay. Now, why are these overlapped? They're two separate things. Why do we overlap this graph? Okay, so we want to see what's selling in relation to what's listed, right? And how they interact with each other. Now, there's patterns here. This is one of my favorite things about trends. We talked earlier about why are we looking back here. It's because I want to see trending of how things interact with each other on a regular basis, okay? So one of the things I really like to watch on this graph is how the red and the blue converge and go apart. What's the opposite of converge? Diverge. Okay? So here you can see every time the red and the blue start coming together, at some point, supply and demand or consumer confidence changes and they start to pull apart again. Okay? We see this pattern over and over and over and over and over again, sometimes more dramatic than others. Okay? Now, the interesting thing is, do you guys feel like 2017 is shaken out pretty similar to 2016, how they're tracking together? Okay? What's that?
I feel like we never got the inventory in the spring and summer that we usually do. It's been way tighter than it ever has.
You're exactly right. So that's why last year, 2016, we were all kind of freaking out of like, what's going on? Why we don't understand our market, right? Something different means something bad in our mind, right? Because it's uncomfortable. But we're seeing in 2017, it's almost following very similar to the pattern of 2016. Okay, so we saw the more pending than homes listed. They crossed a little bit. They came back, so we're having the same problem again, and it's now we're correcting it again. 2016, we were having that conversation of, hey, they're converging. We need to watch when they're going to start spreading apart again. We saw the listings start going up, but fortunately, because demand remained strong, we saw the units sell go with it. Okay, it wasn't an immediate spread apart. It was one started going up, listings taken, and demand kept going with it, which is a strong sign that the demand's still really strong. Why did it start to drop here? Okay, partially because of lack of inventory, but seasonality in Utah. What happens in November, December? We don't work unless transactions happen, right? Even though we had a record-breaking third and fourth quarter, which congratulations for that. But we see seasonality, the number of listings and the buys go down a little bit. But that doesn't mean that confidence has gone away in the market. So now we're seeing already in Davis County, the number of listings is ticking up. We reacted earlier this year because we learned from last year. Okay? There's agents out there having the conversations right now. So we want to watch that, what's going to happen here, which I feel very strong that it's going to be very similar to 2017. We're going to see our listing inventory pick up. It's not going to way over exceed our demand, but we're going to see more listings coming on the market because of agents having this conversation. Supply, demand, consumer confidence. Weber County, sales price versus list price, 98%, so even more than Davis, which is awesome. Very similar graph here. I mean, they vary a little bit, but the trending is the same. Okay, this graph, percent of units listed which sold in the past 12 months. Now, this one I think would be incredibly surprising to the majority of our clients. Why do I say that? They think everything sells, right? And they think it sells like the day it goes on the market. That's why we see the for sale by owners be like, why do I need you? Right? So this is, to me, this is a critical conversation to be having right now. That only 83% of, in Davis County, only 83% of homes that are listed sell. So there's a couple stories to be had here. What are the couple stories that we need to be telling?
Price still matters, to price it right. Staging and the repairs still matter.
And who matters? We matter, okay? Because we need to be able to say, what do you think the gap is for that 17% of homes that aren't selling, okay? We need to be talking about our value in the form of telling our story, okay? And then the other thing that really needs to be said on this, Weber County is at 81%. The other thing that we really need to be talking about here is this is the statistic for the MLS. You guys need to be telling your story. Hey, on the MLS, just so you know, 81% of listings sell. I just want you to know that 98.5% of my listings that I've taken in the last 12 months have sold, and they've all sold in this many days. Does that build credibility and value? Huge, okay? Track your numbers.
And the people that don't have numbers use KW numbers because we are outperforming the market.
Great point. Your story, this is a problem that a lot of newer agents have. They're like, I don't have a story. When that is absolutely not the case. You've chosen to join the number one real estate company in the world, and our story is your story. Okay? If you do not have the track record, our track record is your track record because we're there with you every step of the way.
Also, people in this office, like I came from Realty Path and I was the number 4 guy in the company of 400 agents. I came here and I'm barely the 4th agent like in this office. This office is one of the most high producing offices, real estate offices in the area. And I was having this conversation with a newer agent recently. I bet in just the agents who are officed here, we probably sold over $1 billion worth of residential real estate. I don't think that's an exaggeration at all. And there is not one agent in this office who would not take time out of their day to help you deal with something that you didn't know what to do with. And all of us are happy to do that if you don't have a lot of experience.
Thanks for that comment. It's a great testimony of KW as a brand. That's our culture. And it shows in the market share we're picking up, particularly here in Weber, Davis County. So I already asked the question, do you think the stat would be surprising to the general public? Okay, let's keep moving. How am I on time? 12:11. We're going to skip this slide and this slide, and we're going to keep moving. Average days on the market. So the average days on the market for Davis County is showing just under 20 days on the market. And in Weber County, same thing, just under 20 days. Does this surprise anybody? Things are moving quickly, right? What's happening in the rest of the country? Do you think that's important for us to know? So here's a graph that shows what's going on in the country. All the dark blues are all selling in 30 days or less. The one shade up, 31 to 45. There's still markets out there that are 46 to 60, and there's still a couple markets in our country that are 76 to 90 days average on the market. Interesting, right? Sometimes we forget. We think what's happening in our market is happening everywhere. Okay, but I think this is critical to be telling as part of our story of the strength of our economy, particularly because population, net migration of 40%. We have a lot of people moving here, and if someone's moving here from New Mexico, where they're buying a decent-sized house for $125,000, do you think they have a little bit of a sticker shock coming here and the median price is $285,000? Right? So in their mind, they're comparing Utah market to New Mexico when there's some significantly different things going on, right? Okay, it's important for us to know. Okay, annual median sales price. This is Davis County. This shows from 2000 to 2016. Notice that from 2015 to 2016, we had a 9% increase in our market in Davis County. Okay? Let's talk specifically about 2017, what's happening. It's even steepening how quick our market's appreciating in Davis County. Okay? Now here's some interesting things that stuck out to me about this graph. In July of 2017, our median sales price was $261,838, which was a 4.4% increase from July of last year. Okay? The KW median price, so our office as a brand in Davis and Weber County, our median price is $288,000. We're outperforming the market by 9.99% in Davis County. Why is that important?
That's huge to share with your sellers.
Huge. You need to be sharing this in your listing presentations because they're going to meet with other agents who aren't near as good at telling their story as you are. But part of our story is, hey, did you know that we're getting our clients 9.9% more money for their home than our competitors? That's significant. Let's flip to this. How many of you are hearing this in the market? I hear this from several people of, oh, whoa. Prices are getting too close to 2007, which means we're going to have a huge downturn in our market. Our world's going to blow up again. We hearing that? Okay. Do we believe that? Okay. Let me tell you my theory. Now, I don't want any of you to call me in 6, 12 months if I'm wrong and get mad at me. I'm still a nice guy. But let me show you something. Historically, what does the government want to see our appreciation at? 3 to 4%, right? 3 to 4% is what they want to see as the long-term appreciation trajectory in our markets. How do they correct it if it falls off that pace? Interest rates, okay? So what I wanted to look at is I went back to 2002 and I said, okay, 2002 was a relatively healthy market. It was a normal market. Let me calculate out if we increased by 4% per year from 2002 to today, what would that look like? Median price in 2002 was $145,269. Median price at a 4% normalization in 2017 should be at $261,500. We're right there. Now, were we? Did that make sense here? In 2007, those prices did not make sense. We should have been where that red line is. But do those prices make sense in 2017? They make sense. Okay? Any questions or comments on this? Do you think that could help with some of those conversations with people of freaking out about pricing?
Especially help with buyer conversations for people who say, I'm going to wait because the prices are too high.
Oh, I can't wait to show you one of my slides. You are going to love me. But you already do, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. I got a call last night at 10 o'clock from someone I haven't talked to since high school. And she called me and was like, I got to talk to you. I need to sell my house in the next 18 months, but I'm scared the market's going to tank because of this exact reason. And so I worked her through these slides. I looked really smart because I was like, I just happen to have some slides put together on this. She's like, genius. He's like a genie.
No, she knew she was calling a bee.
Weber County, 2015 to 2016, a 7% increase. Healthy year. Let's look at it again here for 2017. Market shows our median price at $194,743, which is a 4.7% from July of last year. Healthy increase. That's good. KW in Weber County, our median price is $288,000. We're outperforming the market by 11.42% in Weber County. That's awesome. Tell the story. Because if you don't, someone else in here is going to. Okay? Let's look at the same graph here. I drew the line at 4% increase. Now, the one caveat I have with this one is Weber County, I think, was a little bit stronger than a normal market in 2002 than what was going on in the rest of the state, just because we were having so much development going on, particularly out this way before the big development boom. So this may be over-dramatized a little bit, but still, if you ran exactly from 2002, where the median price was $116,242 at a 4% appreciation, our prices in Weber County, our median price should be $207,762. There's still some gap here. There's some opportunity for increase still in Weber County. Okay? Real quickly, I want to touch on this. This is a graph that Gary Keller shares at Family Reunion, showing a similar idea, going back all the way to 1989, drawing in a 4% long-term appreciation, which is the purple. But these are national statistics, but I wanted to show how strong our economy is compared to the national economy. They're talking about now in the national statistics setting a new trend line, which is the new blue. They stopped saying, hey, we're not going to get quite strong enough to recoup all the way back to the trend line. Perhaps we need to start talking about a new trend line that's 17% off the old trend line nationally, okay? So it's going to be interesting to watch this over the next couple of years to see if we continue to close that gap, or if nationally we follow a new 4% trend line off that. But this, as you can see, this doesn't apply to Utah. Because our economy is so strong, we're leading the country in a recovery, which is phenomenal. What's absorption rate? How to practice that? Anybody? I'll dance until you tell me. What?
How much supply we have?
How much supply? Okay, so it's basically months of supply, right? Now we all decided right up front our supply is down, so this graph doesn't surprise us at all. We're looking at just under 2 months of inventory. That means if no one listed any more houses, no more houses came on the market, in 2 months from now every home would sell. Okay. Same thing for Weber County. We're about 2 months inventory. Okay, we're seeing it start to go up again because we're out there having the conversations.
For the newer agents, do you want to reference that 6 months, like a even?
We consider 6 months would be a normal market. Yeah. So somewhere right in here. And there's arguments there between 4 to 6 months would be a healthy market. But as we're seeing, and thanks for bringing that up, yeah, we're under 2 months. Now, let me break this down a little bit, which I think is interesting. These are some statistics given by the Utah Association of Realtors. And this is one of my biggest arguments about why I feel like our economy has the potential to continue to be strong. Inventory-wise, we have houses ranging from $100,000 all the way up to $3 million plus, right? So inventory, when we say inventory, it covers all of those, but it's important for us to look at what portions of the inventory are being treated or reacting differently in our market. So particularly this column right here was important to me. So price range of $150,000 and below from May 2016 to May 2017. Keep in mind, anytime you're looking at UAR stats, they're always 1 month behind. So they haven't turned out June's numbers yet. So in May, they're reporting that our inventory for anything under $150,000 is 42% less this year than the year before. Under $200,000, we're 38% less inventory. Under $300,000, 25% less. Now, as we get into a higher price point, that lessens. Between 3 and 5, we're only 9% off. 500 and over, we're only 0.2% off in inventory. Inventory is virtually the same in that price point, okay? So where is the real pain in our market right now for inventory?
First time and second time homes.
First time and second time home buyers, right? Anything really under $300,000 right now is what's getting the most activity in our market. Now, why aren't we seeing an increase in activity in under $300,000? Okay, for some of these people that bought in here were first-time home buyers are looking to go up, but they're having the conversation of there's nothing out there to buy, or they're having the conversation internally of affordability of I'll just wait for the market to shift, right? So they're creating their own story in their mind of why they can't make that shift. So when we talked about having more of the right conversations, if we can have more of the right conversations with these people, we're going to have a bigger impact on the market than if we spend more time talking about to these people, okay? Even though that's a much better commission. I'm not telling you not to have those conversations, but it's interesting to break the inventory down a little bit, okay? Now, from my opinion, one of the biggest problems that we have in our market is we're not creating enough new inventory under $350,000. So I'm going to show you a graph here in a little bit of where I think our market's going to hit a stalemate. And there's going to have to be something figured out in regards to creating inventory under $300,000. Let's talk about affordability for a minute. Let's go back to this conversation. So interest rates. How many of you know my good friend James Western with Citywide Home Loans? You guys are missing out. One of the greatest guys I know. James is my personal lender and our partner at KW for mortgage. Talk to us a little bit, James, about what's happening with interest rates, what is happening economically that affects interest rates, And I know you can't be held to it because you don't have a crystal ball. Where do you see interest rates going? Yeah, absolutely. Come stand right next to me so the mic picks up on you.
I just want them to see that I'm taller than you.
All right. I outweigh you by like 50 pounds, though.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I said that as a good thing, and it's not.
So, the cool thing is, I just got my mortgage license yesterday, and I just learned what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac means. No.
Oh, boy, sit down.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Actually, no. It's really interesting. I mean, one of my undergraduate degrees is in economics, so I could really do a deep dive there, but we're not going there. But
I didn't go deep enough for you.
anyway, so the point is, ask yourself this question when you're talking to any of your prospects and or clients. What are the things that they ask you as it relates to mortgage interest rates? What are some of the common things they ask you?
Are they going up?
Are they going up? Where are they going? And how do you respond to that?
That's what we're asking you.
Fair enough. I'm going to give you some advice, but how do you respond to that right now? What do you say?
Yes.
Yeah. The Fed is planning on, the consensus agreement is that the Fed is planning on raising rates a couple of times in the next 12 months.
Ask yourself this question. What is it you're trying to provide them? Is it the exact answer? Can you guarantee any of that? No. So what is it you really want to provide them?
Actionable urgency.
This is really important. That you have enough credibility in what you say for them to say, I need to move forward. Does that make sense? Because none of us are going to have all the answers and say, well, let me tell you exactly what. I was with the Federal Reserve Board last night, and here's what they said, right? You can't say that, and we don't know that. So what you want to do is just say enough so you have the credibility. So there are some common factors that drive that. What are they?
Citing sources.
I'm sorry, so someone said? Okay, supply and demand. How does that impact it quickly? If the supply goes up, what happens to interest rates?
Supply of what? Money?
The supply of homes on the market. They go down, okay? So, or do they go up?
They go down.
There you go. So you have to ask yourself that question. Number two, what if what the Federal Reserve says, hey, rates are going to go up? What happens to rates?
Usually they go up.
Usually they go up, okay? What's a good indicator of what's going to happen to rates? On average, how long do people own a loan?
7 years?
7 to 10 years. And so what's the best way of measuring where interest rates are going to go?
The 7-year T-bill.
The 10-year,
10-year T-bill.
right, okay? So you can say, look, there's a lot of things that impact this. Let me just tell you what they are. There's supply and demand. There's what the Federal Reserve does. Then there's government bonds. And you don't want to do a deep dive in that, just that there's government bonds or mortgage-backed securities. And based upon which of those are being bought by investors, that's going to impact the interest rate. What are you doing when you're telling all of these prospects or clients this? What's happening in their mind?
This person knows, yeah.
It's like, hey, this person's establishing credibility to me. They really know what's going on here. So that at that point in time, you can say, and then if you really kind of want to see the trend, look at the 10-year Treasury bond. And then on average, about 170 basis points above the 10-year Treasury bond, that's usually a 30-year interest rate, usually. So you can let them know that. If you want to track that, there you go. So when you say all that, all of a sudden you've established some credibility, and then you can share data. And I've got all sorts of data that I can give you, which is, are interest rates expected to go up or down over the next 12 months? Up. So based upon all these factors, the interest rates are expected to go up by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Realtors. All of them have predicted consistently that they're going to go up. So now, at what point in time, when they hear all that, what are they going to think? It's time to do it, right? Now, what's one of the pushbacks? And we've been talking about this for almost an hour now. Yeah, but the home prices are going up. Right. And if you sell your home, what happens? All things are equal in that your home price went up as well. You're going to buy one that's more, but your interest rates are as low as they've ever been. And that's fundamental that they understand that, because sometimes they don't process that way. They just think, but prices are so high in the home. And I know, you're going to get that benefit when you sell your home too. So all things being equal, here's where rates are going to go. The other thing that would be helpful, and I'm happy to send this to you, is here's some scenarios of if interest rates go up by a quarter point for all these home prices, here's how much more money you're going to be spending. That's a huge aha moment for people where they go, oh my goodness. So even if the prices went down or up, but interest rates stayed the same, what a huge win for me in that regard. And that's a big aha moment for them. So the key thing is, don't provide the answers, provide the credibility, that here's what drives interest rates. Go ahead and look at the 10-year Treasury bond and see what's going on if you want, that's fine. But just know that the 4 major players in the industry have all said interest rates going to go up because of that. And then let me show you why you would want to move forward now. Does that make sense? All the stuff I said is really short, and I've got a handout that I'll give to every one of you if you want it, which has a more detailed drop down of all this information. Does that help?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just a couple quick follow-ups to that. One is I love everything about James, except I always know I'm not going to be the nicest dressed person in the room when he's here. So one of the important things I think he's saying is spot on, is if we learn to have the conversation around it to build the credibility, at first, generally you only have to build credibility once or twice with someone before that credibility sticks and remains. The next time you say something that they might question, they'll be like, oh yeah, you've already built credibility with me. So know how to have that conversation. And for a lot of you to have attended some of my other classes where I talk about no one succeeds alone, you don't have to go very deep in these conversations, particularly if you're not an expert about mortgage rates. It's saying, hey, I've got someone on my team that speaks the same language that I do, has the same value that I do. Let me connect you with my partner. Let's get together and make this happen together, okay? One more slide to follow up with what you're talking about is, should I buy now or wait until next year? I love what this illustrates, because with the conversation with your buyers is saying, okay, right now, if you were to buy a house at $200,000 with an interest rate of 4.12%, your mortgage rate would be $1,227. Let's say that next year we decide to buy the house, we're going to wait a year. Well, we just learned that demand's remaining high. We can very much predict that we're going to have an appreciation in our market of a modest 5.4%. In Weber and Davis counties, we're projecting probably a little bit more. The same house next year is going to be $210,800 with a higher interest rate, which is being projected for 4.8%, which would make your mortgage payment $1,366. Now, the justification in some of our buyers' mind is, yeah, it's $10,000 more. It's a $10,000 risk. I'll see what the market does, right? But it's really not a $10,000 risk because of interest rates. So just to give you some ideas, and this really resonates with a lot of people, particularly the younger generations, because they want to figure out what they need that money for other things. Just to understand that monthly they're saving $139, which could equate to another night out of sushi. Annually, they could be saving $1,668 by acting today instead of waiting for 1 year. But over 30 years, over a 30-year loan, they're going to be saving $50,000 by buying today at a 4.12, other than waiting next year. It's not a $10,000 difference. It could be potentially a $50,000 difference for them. Yes?
And I've got like this template in Excel that I'm happy to email to you. So when you're with a prospective borrower or a client, you can say, let's just put in the numbers and let's just see what's going to happen. That way there's a huge aha moment for them that they can go, oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And this is and that's important, that the illustration for it. So like this is a graph that my team uses. Anyone has that conversation, because it's one thing to say, hey, it's going to be it's going to be more expensive, but overall it's going to save you money. Other than like breaking it down like this to be like, oh, this is real. What does that mean? All of a sudden it becomes a reality for them of like, hey, we need to move. We need to make something happen. Okay. Was this helpful? Okay, awesome. We talked enough about affordability. Let me show you, before I remember when I talked to you about what I predict may be a stalemate in our market. Let me see where we're at in time. Will you guys give me another like 5 more minutes? We're 2 minutes over. A couple things that I think are really interesting. Looking at the inventory of under $300,000. Right now we're all in agreement that somehow we need to figure out how to get more inventory really under that 350 in our market. Now, what the quickest way to have an impact on that is obviously go out and have more conversations with those people, because there are people that want to sell their home. They just need to understand the concept of affordability, of saying, okay, you know what, it makes sense to sell now, even though I've maybe paying more than what I anticipated or thought was comfortable to buy. Now I have a better understanding of the market. It makes sense. Let's make a move. Okay, that's the quickest way to have a direct impact on that market. But we need to have a bigger impact on our inventory because of a couple things. The National Association of Realtors makes this prediction. New home sales, which are obviously new construction, are going to continue to increase 2016, 2017, 2018. Same with existing home sales, and we're going to see an increase in median price and our interest rates. So one of the things that I thought was really, really interesting for me to look at is I wanted to pull a graph of building permits being pulled. So focus on this bottom graph for a minute. This is the number of private housing units authorized by building permits for Utah. So let's go all the way back to 2004 to 2006. We were having a lot of building permits pulled at that time, right? Does everyone agree that we were overbuilding our market in 2006, 2007? Why is the graph doing this? Seasonal in Utah, right? Because there's less building going on, less permits being pulled in the winter months. But the trend line here is significantly higher. What happened when the market shifted through 2008 through 2012 with building permits? Virtually there was no building going on at that time. Why? Okay, there was risk. That was really hard to get loans. Cities didn't want to, they were trying to help their cities recover, so they weren't issuing new building permits to be in competition with the homes that are already being sold at a discount. So basically, building stopped. Building was cut off, okay? But why am I overlapping that with our population graph?
Need more units.
Because here's what our government didn't do is say, hey, whoa, we're not building more houses, so let's not let anybody else into our state. Everyone stop having babies.
Yeah.
Because we have this many houses for this many people and it's working out just fine. That did not happen. In fact, our population from 2007 to today has grown at a faster rate than it's ever grown before, but we were not building houses to accommodate for the increase in population, okay? Going back, remember the graph where I showed you the median price, and in the 2007 there was blue graph above the red line? Well, at that time we were building a lot of homes out of speculation, where in today's market we're building a lot of homes out of necessity. So there's a very real difference between today's market and 2007 that we need to be aware of, and we need to be telling that story. Because what our clients are seeing is, looks like a duck, it must be a duck. And it may look like a duck, but it's not a duck. Is that really a saying, or did I just make that up?
I think you just made that up.
That's awesome. Coin it.
Hashtag.
Used it totally inappropriately.
Oh boy. It means something I don't even know, right? Oh boy. I apologize if I offended anyone. No, so here's what's going on though. All of a sudden we're seeing our building permits go up and our population's continuing to grow up. This is not a fix overnight. No matter how fast we're building homes, it's going to take a minute to catch up. Okay? So here's where I think the stalemate may happen, where in my opinion, this is purely my opinion based on how I'm interpreting the statistics. So I'm not reading a crystal ball at all here. There are more and more builders now coming to the conclusion that they need to build product under $400,000, okay? Most builders over the last several years have been saying, awesome, let's just build houses. And what is the price on new builds right now? $350 and up, right? And now all of a sudden these builders are seeing the days on the market increase on these new homes a little bit. And they're saying, oh, we might be building the wrong product. We need to build more homes under $400,000. Why aren't they building more homes under $400,000? Okay, so they've got problems. Right now, landowners are more proud of their dirt than they've ever been. Construction costs have gone up out of demand, right? And cities have been really protective of their density ordinances, okay? They've decreased their density. So again, this is my prediction of where it's not going to be a huge market shift, but there's going to be a stalemate at some point where developers are going to be like, we're putting the brakes on because we want to build a product under $400,000 because the market's demanding it, but we can't buy ground cheap enough or materials cheap enough to do it. It's not profitable. And the cities are going to say, oh, well, maybe I need to decrease some of my density in some of my areas. Building materials may have to come down. Land prices may have to come down. People might have to become a little less proud of their dirt. What the answer is there, I'm not quite sure how it's going to shake out, but at some point, those four parties are going to stare at each other and say, okay, we need to figure something out here, okay? That's my prediction, that I think we'll see a softening in our market when that becomes a more friction piece of our market, but then they'll figure it out and we'll keep moving. Yes?
Something else because I agree with you. Something else that those of you who are in this room who buy your own rental properties as a retirement, like I do, like places out in Sunset, these red brick post-World War II ramblers that are, either 1,100 feet or 2,200 feet with a basement, that you could, to 2 years ago have bought for 150 to 200,000. I bought one for like 110. Those are not getting built anymore. Like, and I don't see that ever changing. A single family detached home on a lot for 150,000. I don't think that ever gets built with building codes and costs and everything unless we have a massive recession. So, for those of you who are looking or have clients who want to invest their money for the long term, I feel very good about steering them that way into these areas that have that kind of, it's protected. It really is protected unless everybody leaves the state. That's the cheapest form of single family house there is, and there's always going to be a demand for that regardless of the economic conditions.
Great point. This comes back to affordability, okay? Learning how to have a conversation with your clients about affordability, whether they're investors, first-time home buyers, move-up buyers, whatever that looks like, we need to know how to have the conversation of affordability, which the things that drive affordability are median income, which we saw unemployment rates are really low. When unemployment rates are low, there's a bigger demand for talent. When there's a bigger demand for talent, people are making more money. Median income continues to go up, okay? Median income is one of the three pieces that affect affordability. We talked about interest rates. What's going to happen there? We know because there's a demand, what's going to happen with the median priced home, okay? Know how to have the conversation and then take that conversation into a close, okay? Any questions on that? Did we explain that good enough? When I say we, it's me and the duck in my pocket. I'll stick with the duck. Okay, couple things. So this is what I don't want to happen from this meeting, and I'll open it up for questions here in a second if there are any, is don't come to this meeting and say, man, that was awesome. Now I understand the market better. Now let me go back to business as normal. Right now, it's critical for us to go tell our story. Now, that doesn't mean you wait until you're sitting across the kitchen table from someone to say, hey, now I have the opportunity to share this with you. Use every and any platform you can right now to tell little bullet point pieces of the story that are going to open up the door, and they give you permission to tell more of the story, okay? You've got all these slides. If any of you are interested, let me know. I'll send you the slides in a bigger format so you can use them and modify them, whatever you want to do. But we need to put together the little bullet point pieces that are going to give us the ability to call, post to social media, whatever it is that's going to open up that door for someone to say, what? Tell me a little bit more about that. Now you have the platform to tell a deeper story.
Just I 100% agree with you. I think the best practice would be to go to each of the slides that you have and say, if I'm representing a buyer, how would I say something with this slide that would be a win? If I'm representing a seller, what would I say with this slide that would be a win? If you can do that for all the slides, you'll be in great shape.
That would be a great exercise. Absolutely. I'm selling them. My kids have to eat. No, I'm just joking. I'll sell them. So this.
You take ducks as payment?
I do. Yes, ducklings, because I want to raise them. Okay, so real quickly, this is a tool that we put together for our agents every month. I don't know how many of you are using them, but it's called Your Local Expert. It's a really sharp little piece. I'll make sure you get this as well. We put in Keller Williams numbers for our local brand, but if your numbers are better as an individual team, you should absolutely use those numbers. The couple things that I highlighted on here is we're number one. We're currently taking more listings per agent, making us the authority. 23.3% more listings than our competition. I'll make the typo correction there. 10.71%. We're consistently selling homes for 10.71% more than our competition, getting our clients more money. Okay. Those are quick little bullet points that someone would be like, wait, what? Tell me more? Because I'm thinking about listing, but Aunt Ethel told me I could get this. You can get me 10% more? Okay. If anyone really has an Aunt Ethel, I try to use a name that nobody really has an aunt. I'm not talking about a real person. Okay. So we'll get this out as well. Okay. So walking out of here, we're going to wrap up. Just keep in mind, sustainability and affordability. Almost everything your clients are saying right now, rotate around those two conversations, for my opinion. Look at the slides, have the questions around them. Let's watch supply and demand. We do this every quarter. Make sure you come. We have Stephanie, real quickly, will you give us the details on?
Hey, so we're doing both and sandwiches. We've done it in the past. It's been a lot of fun. So and I'm hoping everybody from Lincoln has already heard about it. If not, y'all are welcome. If you have boats, bring them up. We're gonna, Keller Williams is gonna provide the sandwiches. Bring a side dish, whether it's dessert, salads, chips, whatever, bring them up. And then we're gonna be there at the middle inlet. We're gonna do it from 10 to 4. Lunch is from 12 to 2. And we want all of you to come up. It'll be a lot of fun.
What day?
Friday the 21st.
So this coming Friday.
Yep, this coming Friday.
Everyone's invited.
Yeah.
Um,
$10 to get on, I believe.
Ru-
So
Awesome, thank you. That'll be super fun. Thanks for spearheading that too. I really appreciate it. So real quickly to wrap up, did everyone sign a sign-in sheet? Okay, there's a.
put how many people are coming to, so we know. So if your party, you have 3 or 4 kids, put you're gonna have 7 people, just so we know how much food.
Okay, so there's 2 sign-in sheets. There's a sign-in sheet for the boat and barbecue that's over here. And then if you want the slides, if you want me to send you the slides, there's a sign-in sheet over here. I need name and email address, okay? And then any of you that are watching live, make sure to Facebook me your email address, and I'll get you the slides as well. And then right now, the louder you cheer, the better I feel. If you had a good time, let me know. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for coming. Go have more conversations. James.
This up front on the table, and you guys can grab.
Great presentation.
Hey, thank you. Yep, thank you.
I love you.
Make sure to sign in there.
Otherwise I'll forget.